Do you get nervous by the money question? You know, hey, how much money do you need? Or what's the salary you're looking for? Now, don't worry, this video is for you. I'm going to show you how to ask them a question so they reveal how much money they can pay you, as well as structure two events within your first year of actually getting more money in your salary. Stay tuned. Okay, so the money question. You're in an interview. It could happen in your first interview, your second interview, your third interview, final stage interview, 16th interview, depending on where you're obviously interviewing. But the interviewer will say something along the lines of, hey, so how much money are you looking for? What's the salary expectation you have? Now, most of you start to panic. You don't know what to say. If you say a number that's a little bit higher, they might kind of say, okay, well, that's not too much that we can kind of deal with, or that's way too much, or you haven't asked for enough, or you've asked for too much, and the interview doesn't really go your way, right? And it's a risk. Let's be honest, if you ask for too much, and equally if you ask for too little. I've had job seekers reach out to me saying, hey, Milo, if I ask for 10K less, will they actually look at me more favorably and hire me faster? Probably not, because companies have the money to spend. They want to make sure that they're investing their money in the right places. So they want someone who's confident, who is actually looking for the right amount of money, but more importantly, can stay in the company and grow within the role. So how do you explain that when you're hit with the how much money do we pay you question? Now, a very easy way to do this is to effectively say an answer without giving a number. Because once you give a number, you show your cards too early, in my opinion. So if you say something along the lines of, look, I'm happy with market value, but my focus here is really on career progression. Now, that's a very basic way of doing it. So we're going to complicate this through this video, but that's a very basic way to say that. And a lot of people have gotten away with some really good negotiations starting off that way. So you're not really focusing on a particular number, but you're talking about the market value, which is the key word. Now, companies will probably want to pay you market value. And if you've seen any job adverts, or if you've seen any pieces online about how much people are paid in the industry or the job role that you're looking for, everybody kind of knows what that number is. So let's say data analyst in the UK is between 35 and 45. Let's say it's a company that is really good, for whatever that means. They pay really well. They're a massive company. They have the money and they're looking for good people. They can probably pay between 40 and 45 if you're good. Now, good doesn't mean hard skills. It doesn't mean great personality or just soft skills. It could be a combination of different things. So even if you don't have experience, you could still get a good salary. That's beside the point. When you are looking at market value, you put the impression on the company that you know what the market value is. And you're saying, hey, look, money is important, but it's not the most important thing for me. The most important thing for me is what you say after market value. And market value in most cases is we'll pay you what everybody else has paid, but we're interested to see that extra thing after market value that you're interested in to make us want to pay you more in 3 months. Because you have to remember, every role you get into, the first 3 months, 90 days, you are on a probation. That probation is to see whether you are worth that investment of salary and time and energy that the company will give you. But also, it's should we pay this person more? Should we invest into keeping them? Because we want to keep them. Your probation is if you should be kept in the company, if you were all you were cracked up to be in the interview. Did you lie? Did you say you can speak German and you realistically can't, and now they test you and then your German's really bad, or Japanese? I've had that happen quite a few times with candidates telling me horror stories. Don't lie on the CV, by the way. But in your 90 days, you're able to then effectively sell yourself to get more money. So market value at the start of the interview, you can effectively say, look, market value is what I'm happy with, but my focus here is on X. Now, X could be career progression. It could be working with a brilliant team that I know your company has. It could be exposure to a service or product. It could be so many different things. You have to really think outside of the box here, because if you say, hey, market value is great, but I want to work hard. Great, so does everybody. But is it a service that the company can offer to their customers that you're excited about delivering? If that's the case, think about how that sounds for that company. This is a person who's happy with market value. Okay, so we have to pay market value. We have to pay her market value, but they want to learn and become great. They want to stay in the company. They want to, expand their experience in this role. And you have to make them believe it, because if you say, yeah, just career progression, trust me, bro, not going to work. But if you go into more detail about how that can be structured well, So career progression is important, but look, I love the service you guys give. I think I can learn a lot, and I can give a lot to the company. And I feel like the career progression plus the service plus my adaptability, soft skill, working with a world-class team that I know your company has, that's my focus. So market value for me is great. Now, it doesn't mean that you're just going to accept anything they give you, but you set the baseline for what they can offer you. If you think about it, right? So if the market value is 35, and then you've shown yourself to be adaptable, you care about the product, you want to work with their team, you want to service their customers, they're going to probably want to pay you above market value, right? Now, if they say, great, okay, we're going to offer you 37. You don't have to accept that number on the interview. You can say, fantastic, I appreciate that, I'll certainly consider it. Because you're negotiating now. Salary negotiation is not one-sided. It doesn't mean you have to accept. And by the way, quick disclaimer, if a company gets you to confirm there and then, and you have to commit on that interview, that's not a good sign. That's a red flag if there was a red flag ever. Okay, so do not accept a role on an interview or a salary or say, this is what I'm going to accept. That's not a good sign at all. So if a company's going to say, okay, we're going to pay you 37. You can say, fantastic, I really appreciate that. Even if you're not going to accept 37, even if you have 45 in your mind, fantastic, appreciate that. How much time do I have to consider this? And is this an offer? Now, they might say, well, it's not an offer yet, we're not too sure. Or they might say, well, we're pleased to offer you 37. Could you accept that? Or how do you feel about that? You can say, I'm more than happy to consider that. I have a question in regards to the probationary period. Once I pass the probation, would there be negotiation on that number? And if so, what would it be? They might say, yeah, no, we could actually offer you 45 after your probation. Now, if you have to do some quick math and you think about this logically, and every case will be very different. So I want you to follow me on this because there's tons of videos on YouTube where people say this, say that. And once they say this, you're basically a robot, right? So that's not the case. Every situation is different. I'm giving you something of a mindset shift. So when you're in an interview, you can kind of think about this logically for your case. So if they're offering 37, but then after the probation, where you can say, look, happy to consider it, but in the probationary meeting, within 90 days, when I pass, will there be negotiation on this number? And if so, what number could that go to? Let's say they say, yes, it can be negotiated and our ceiling is 45. So you're at 37 and 45 is what they're prepared to offer you after the probationary meeting, meaning they can offer 45 if you're good at the role. So you have to bridge the gap between 37 and 45 in this negotiation. Now, you do not need to do that in the meeting there and then. You actually have to do that in an email once you receive the offer. It's the easiest thing to do if you think about it, right? So they like you, they're going to offer you something. You know their ceiling is 45. Once they know you can do the job, you can very much email them back once you get that offer in writing, by the way, to say, look, I'm really happy with the offer, the extension of the offer with the company. However, I would like to bridge the gap between 37 and 45. Would there be movement to offer me 40? As I'm confident within the 90 days, we will have a serious conversation about the 45. And that could be something you can do in the interview. I've advised people to do this many times. Many times it's gone above and beyond in a positive nature where they actually share, well, actually, in 90 days, we would offer you this much. It's a 15K difference, which means you can actually bridge the gap even further. And it's just about the company knowing if you can do the role, which in the interview, they're always going to try and lowball you a little bit. Companies try to save money because if you think about it, if they're hiring 100 people in 3 months and everybody takes 3-4K less, they potentially save £400,000 or dollars in a quarter, depending on the size of the company. That's substantial or it's not, depending, but that gives you an idea of how they think about this. Now, that's not all. You can actually get a promotion off, depending on the company, by the way, depending on the role, but you could get a promotion within a year. It could be a small title change or a big title shift, and that will give you even more money. So then you could include, look, would there be a conversation we can have within a year? I understand that many companies will have a probationary meeting in 90 days. Would there be a similar style of meeting 1 year into the role? And would there be, and not more money, do not make this mistake, and I'm not going down this route. Do not say, could I get more money after a year? Because then you just look like you're just after the money, right? Could there be a renegotiation of extra responsibilities? Now, extra responsibilities means more money. Okay, so if you shift your conversation from money to responsibilities and how you can fit into that role and what you can expand on and why you're the right fit, the money conversation makes more sense, because then you're a market fit and they're going to pay you market value, and then they're going to pay you above market value if you do more. So your salary negotiation is not, can I get more money today in the interview? Commit, yes, no. Your conversation is long game, meaning the money conversation is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to understand why the company's hiring you, what their market value is before you go into that meeting. And also, you kind of have to sell all these extra things that you can offer the company. And that's a big thing to talk about. Okay. So hopefully that makes more sense in how I'm breaking that down. Now, if you find these videos helpful, it means the world to me to just like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you a single thing to do. It motivates me more to kind of share my opinions on the job search, and it also gives you a little bit more validity to kind of go through these interviews, salary negotiations, job search, and it means the world to me. If you want to work together, if you have a salary negotiation issue, click on the link below. There's a LinkedIn link to my LinkedIn, and there's also a link to How to Job Plus, where you and I can work together. If you need any help with interview, salary negotiation, getting into the dream job, any job, if you're not even sure what job to do, I am confident that I can help you in some way. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and I'll see you then.